The only things that are real, according to my perception, as of this moment, for sight would be nothing. But for argument's sake, let's open my eyes. Everything in this house can be recognized as an individual thing. The further I look into it, though, the mind fills in the rest. Let's skip visuals. We'll get back to that later. Auditory. I can hear the sounds of my own body. I can hear my dog, one or both, panting over there. I can hear a ringing in my ears. Slight ringing in my ears. Air conditioner. Air intake. Oh, now barking. My dogs. Probably an animal, considering the way they're barking right now. Didn't hear a car. Those are the things that are real according to my auditory perception. My physical senses would be my body on contact with myself, the couch, or specifically the cushions on which I sit, and the table on which my feet are sitting, my clothing, accessories. Guess they don't look bad on camera. I like these new glasses. The air around me. There's some movement, not a lot. I'm inside. Warmth where I'm in contact with the couch. Cooler elsewhere. It's even fewer things. Smell. Not a whole lot, honestly. My own nose, my own mucus. I'm a little sick today. Under the weather and congested. And so, yeah, not a whole lot exists nasally. Now, taste is an interesting one. Taste seems to be the only one, the one you have more control over reception. You don't necessarily have any say on whether or not you see something, for the most part. We can get into semantics later if we want to, or we can endlessly. Same with hearing. It's not up to my decision whether my neighbor across the street shoots a gun, right? I can't see it. I can't smell it. I can't have any, but it shoots through my perception auditorily. Now, I had no consent to that, but I registered it nonetheless. Taste, you can't really do that with. Smell, somebody farts. Touch, poke someone. I don't know. Surprise them from behind. Sound, touch. Taste, you can't really make somebody taste something against their will. I mean, you can. But at that point, you're doing far more than than just intruding on their sense perception of taste. It seems to be the most private sense. But at the end of the day, it's the mind that connects all five of those. And it fills in gaps. It's an observer, and it's not necessarily a passive one. It has its mechanisms for functionality and using the physical world to its advantage. It also has its own helper bot, AI, automaton almost in the ego. But we can get that a little bit later. I'm not sure why I'm going into this, but it is interesting about taste, and I wonder why. Why sight seems to be so much more inclusive. Maybe it's the mind filling in the gaps. I said earlier to myself, when I was thinking about this, imagine I'm seeing a tree very far away. There's a tree behind me, right there, right? And you look far enough, for example, let me take my glasses off. Look far up into that tree. Now I can look at that tree and say that's a tree. Any person who's lived on this earth for more than a couple of years knows this. It's a tree. What can I see in the tree when I do this exercise? I see the wood. I see the branching. I see the shapes. I see the leaves. But can I be said to see the leaves? Because right now I'm visualizing it through the screen. So let's ignore the medium of screen. But I can't individually see these leaves. Best I can do is probably, my resolution is probably only down to small clumps of leaves. I couldn't tell you how many leaves, for example, are in that small clump of leaves. I don't know because I can't see those leaves. Now, in my sense perception, can I honestly say that I am visually seeing those leaves and registering those leaves as real if I can't say that I'm seeing them individually on an individual level? My mind sees the pattern that it recognizes and says, there's leaves there. Much in the same way, I work on houses, and much in the same way that I know there's balances in this window. I know they're there. By looking at this window, I assume their existence, but I can't say that that's what I'm seeing. I don't see them. I don't see the inner workings of it. The mind inserts it. The mind has it. The mind has that quality of memory that can imbue states of being onto things that you don't fully comprehend are there. The only way, right, the only sense that I have that this tree is real, other than memory, let's take mind out of it, other than memory, knowing that if I were to walk outside, walk over to that specific spot in my yard and not stop, I'd walk into a tree, right, because it's there. But as of this moment right here on this couch, and that tree over there, outside of this window, the only sense perception that I have of that tree is sight. Much like not being able to define the individual leaves, even if I could hear the rustling of its leaves in the wind, I wouldn't be able to distinguish that sound from the sound of any other leaves rustling in the wind. So that takes out auditory. Smell, I can't smell anything, but even then, it's an oak. They're not very fragrant. There's no way I'd be able to smell it from here. Back door's closed, this window's closed. Touch. Taste. So how real is that tree? How real is the car that drives by that I never see? It's as real as our mind interprets it to be. That's the end of the story. I can know everything I need to know about the universe. I can know everything that I need to know in order to make my way through this world with fairly guaranteed success. I know what happens when I get into that thing in the driveway that I call a car, and I press a button and it makes it go, and I go to do it, and there's rules and people and how to deal with people and how to deal with Everything. Because there's some form of pattern there. There is memory. There is a sense of, not permanence, but a sense of structure to the world that you can rely on, right? And you can't just non-dual it away in your mind, you know. I mean, you can. You can sit and non-dual it away in your mind. That's totally a viable option that people have taken. But to live in the world, man, you have to live in the world, you know. And I'm gonna take for granted that that tree's there. I don't want to non-dual it away. It's a nice tree, and I like in the back of my head knowing that that tree is there. Right now, it's hanging. I have a bird feeder stand that's bent, hanging on that tree. So if anything, I'm glad that tree is there, if only for the sense of potential. Potentially, I'll use that tree, take that stick, put another bird feeder, get some more birds. Who knows? Time is a soup. Anyway.